Meanwhile, the United Nations General Assembly has overwhelmingly adopted a resolution that demands Russia to immediately withdraw its forces from Ukraine. After more than 2 days of some extraordinary debate that took place at the UNGA, the resolution has now come as a pretty powerful rebuke of Moscow's invasion by a vast majority of the world nations. Now, 141 out of the 193 member nations of the United States voted for this non-binding resolution that has condemned the invasion. The resolution, in its words, deplores the invasion of Ukraine in the strongest possible terms and also has condemned Vladimir Putin's decision to put his nuclear forces on alert. The vote has been touted by the diplomats as a bellwether of democracy in a world where autocracy is on the rise.
We thank all countries that have supported it. The decision is clear. The world has spoken. The Russian government must immediately stop the aggression, withdraw its troops, and abide by the rules of the UN Charter. That applies to all.
Now, Ukraine's ambassador to the United Nations, Sergei Klyazhitsia, called the vote as a defining moment, adding that the draft resolution is one of the building blocks to build a wall to protect other countries for generations to come. Now, ahead of the vote, the Ukrainian ambassador accused Russia of carrying out a genocide. Klyazhitsia, in fact, told the Assembly that the Russian goal is not just occupation, but genocide.
They have come to deprive Ukraine of the very right to exist. They have come to resolve the Ukrainian issue. As their propagandists claimed, just stop and think whether these words remind you of something. Yes, more than 80 years ago, another dictator tried to finally resolve the issue of another people.
And the text of the resolution has undergone numerous changes in recent days. It is no longer condemning the invasion as it was initially expected, but instead is deploring it in the strongest terms. The Russian Federation's aggression against Ukraine, nearly every Assembly member speaker unreservedly condemned the war. But what is interesting is that Russia's ally, Belarus, has offered a staunch defense of the invasion. Ambassador Valentin Rybakov blasted the sanctions that have been imposed by the Western nations on Russia, calling them the worst example of economic and financial terrorism. Japan and New Zealand also led the condemnation from Asia, but the continent's giants, China, India and Pakistan, all abstained. And Beijing, during the vote, has stressed that settling the war in Ukraine will require abandoning the Cold War mentality on the part of the West. Now, what is interesting is India also decided to abstain from voting on the resolution for the third time in this conflict, but it has supported the international community's call for an immediate ceasefire. Delivering a statement after the vote, the Indian ambassador to the United Nations, T.S. Tirumurti, said that India has been deeply concerned over the rapidly deteriorating situation in Ukraine amidst the ensuing humanitarian crisis. India is sending humanitarian aid and medical supplies to the war-hit nation of Ukraine.
India has already dispatched humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. This includes medicines, medical equipment and other relief material. We are sending more such tranches in the coming days. India supports the international community's call for an immediate ceasefire. We also support safe humanitarian access to conflict zones.
Now, the vote on the resolution entitled Aggression Against Ukraine was 141 to 5 with 35 abstentions. 5 countries, Eritrea, North Korea, Syria, Belarus, and of course Russia, voted against this draft resolution. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.